We are joined right now by the Israeli Foreign Minister, Tzipi Livni. She is here with us live. Ms. Foreign Minister, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Here's our first question to you. Are you preparing to enter Gaza with ground forces this morning?
We are going to change realities on the ground, and this is something that Hamas need to understand. Israel left Gaza Strip few years ago, not in order to come back, but we left Gaza Strip, we dismantled the settlements, and we took our forces out in order to create a vision of peace, and this could have been the beginning of the creation of a Palestinian state, but Hamas controls Gaza Strip, it targets Israel, and this needs to be changed.
Mrs. Foreign Minister, we understand that we're hearing reports that this operation has been planned for many, many months, even though mortar attacks have been going on for many weeks. There are some that said that this came out of nowhere. Did this really come out of nowhere? Even amidst the ceasefire, was Israel planning these attacks against Hamas targets for months now?
Israel is being targeted from Gaza Strip for years now, but there was no real ceasefire. I mean, Israel accepted the truce that was initiated by the Egyptians, but there was never real truce. Israel was attacked during this truce by Hamas from Gaza Strip on a daily basis. They abused this period of time in order to get more and more weapons, and now more Israelis are under the threat coming from Gaza Strip because the missiles that they have are long-range missiles. And Gilad Shalit, the Israeli abducted soldiers, is still in captivity, and the idea or what they promised to accelerate the process to release him was stopped by them. So there was a kind of a truce in which Hamas never accepted or violated on a daily basis.
Okay, now the economy
right now, and since, sorry.
Continue, go ahead.
I said that Hamas said clearly and publicly that they are not going to continue the truce, and the same day they attacked Israel. Last week we had 80 missiles a day. This is something which is unacceptable, and we needed to act.
And how long can Hamas possibly keep this up? We know the economy there in Gaza is virtually in shambles. And how long can they continue? They're virtually cut off, is Hamas, from the outside world and all these sanctions. So how long do you think they can possibly keep this up?
Israel makes a distinction between Hamas and between the population. So while we are acting military, the passages to Gaza Strip are open in order to keep the humanitarian help which is needed to the population. And while targeting Hamas targets, we are trying to avoid any kind of civil casualties. So the idea is not to put these sanctions on the population in order to put the pressure on Hamas, but the military operation is targeted against Hamas itself. And the only way for Hamas to understand or to change the realities and their attitude is if they knew that the international community is determined, like Israel, to change realities. If they knew that this is just an operation that is going to be stopped, so we are going to be back in a situation in which Israel is targeted, and this is something that we cannot accept.
And Minister Livni, what is your ultimate goal here with these airstrikes? Are you trying to unseat Hamas from power?
Not now. At the end of the day, Hamas is a problem not only to Israel, but also to the Palestinians themselves. I mean, as long as they control Gaza Strip, there is no chance for a Palestinian state which includes Gaza Strip. And this is a zero-sum game, not between Israel and Hamas, but between Hamas and Fatah, Abu Mazen and Haniyeh, the pragmatic leadership and the extreme leadership and terror organization like Hamas. But this is not the goal of this operation. The goal of this operation is to change reality and to give the Israelis who live near Gaza Strip the possibility to live in peace and quiet. This is something that they deserve. Israel now implements its basic right for self-defense, and this is the goal of this military operation.
And one final question for you, Mrs. Foreign Minister, this morning. The United Nations saying, calling on Israel to stop the violence and stopping an escalation of violence there. The White House, though, throwing their support behind Israel, saying Israel needs to defend against its enemies. What sort of communication has Israel had with the White House over the past few days as this operation unfolded?
Israel and the United States shares not only the same values but the same interest in the region, and Israel is in the front line fighting what the free world needs to fight together, and this is against extremism, against this extreme Islamist organization like Hamas, who spread this agenda of hatred in the region. So the sides are not Israel or the Palestinians. On one side there is Israel, the pragmatic leadership of the Palestinian side, the free world led by the United States of America and other moderate states and leadership and leaders in this region. On the other side, you have Hamas, Iran, which supports Hamas today, and other organizations that are trying to abuse the situation in order to gain more support from radical elements in different states in the region. So we expressed, and the United States expressed or supported the war and battle against extremism and violence and terror. These are the sides, and we expect all the international community to do the same, including all the members of the United Nations, which Israel is part of.
Okay.
I would like to add, if I may, that only 2 weeks ago, the United Nations Security Council decided that the only way to get legitimacy by the international community is by accepting the right of Israel to exist, renounce violence and terrorism, and accept formal agreements between Israel and the Palestinians. This is something that Hamas never did, and this is the reason for not giving legitimacy to Hamas this way or the other. And calling both sides to stops, in a way, is giving legitimacy to Hamas.
Minister Livni, last, is there any way to restore the ceasefire that collapsed more than a week ago?
There was no ceasefire a week ago. There were understandings, but Israel were targeted on a daily basis, as I've said before. We need to change realities. We need to change this equation. Hamas needs to understand that we are determined, the international community is determined, and then I'm sure we can see some changes that can lead us to live in a more quiet region,
Sure.
Peacefully, I hope.
We hope to. Israeli Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni, we appreciate your time this morning. Coming up here on Fox and Friends, we're going to get reaction to this story from Mike Baker, former CIA